So I'm Dennis, and I am the Assistant Director of our Center for Community Engagement here at Suffolk. And I'm really excited to introduce a couple of folks from one of the community partners that we were introduced to, called the Cambodian Living Arts. So it's my pleasure to introduce Arn, who is the founder, and Sakon, who is the head of arts development. And I'll just say something. I'll just give a brief intro on sort of how the work that we do, how we're connected, how we got connected to CLA, and then I'll turn it over to you folks for the rest. But we were connected to the Cambodian Living Arts and the organization through a few folks at Suffolk. Professor Roberto Dominguez, who actually teaches a course called Conflict and Development that goes along with some of the programs that we do in the winter with students. And Liz Keating, who is the co-founder of the Cambridge Cambodia School Project, which is one of the partners that we work with every January during our alternative winter break program. And you know, Arn has previously spoken at Suffolk as well. He was in person on campus back in 2018, and today he'll share more about his incredible personal story and the organization and the great work that they're doing. But this is really an opportunity for us. We thought it was a great opportunity to bring in a community partner that does work in Cambodia, since we haven't been able to typically do the programs that we do, and we haven't been able to travel and bring students back to Cambodia for the first time in 4 years due to COVID. So we're really excited and grateful that you've all taken the time to be here with us today. And I'll turn it over to you folks now.
Okay, thank you. And I'm very happy today that we have Sakon joining me. You can see the logo behind her. That's beautiful. I really liked it. I am maybe 25,000 miles away, and at least we have this technology that we can meet. I'm sorry I cannot go there this year, and I'm sorry you cannot come to Cambodia this year, but we are still working the best we can through the arts to heal ourselves and to prepare for you to come when things will be behind us in the near future. I was so lucky also to be invited. As you may remember, 2018, I was there at the classroom at your school to talk about Cambodian Living Arts, and also a book that just came out a few years called Never Fall Down. It was about my life story. But today I would love to also to say thank you for the school for your interest in Cambodia, and also invited us to come and share a little bit of our story. And I would start with with a flute, which I always do. I will play a song for you. You know, music helped me a lot when I'm sort of down and depressed, and I hope it helped you at least during this time. Let me play. A very short bamboo flute. But I'm sorry to say that this short song, it's very much the Khmer Rouge forced me to play this propaganda song. Traditionally, in Cambodia would use its flute to play a much melancholy, a better sound of music for love, music for soothing. But during the Khmer Rouge, they were abolished. No more traditional music, no more love. So I was forced to play. In fact, I started during the Khmer Rouge time in 1975 in the death camp, which music saved my life literally. I just realized this just more recently. I played something like a dulcimer, you know, many string. You hit it with the two bamboo stick, and I was forced to play this particular song. You can tell it's their revolutionary song, a faster tune, and you wouldn't want to hear the lyrics. Most lyric of this song mostly kill, blood, you know, kill those who did not work, kill those who did not respect Pol Pot. They didn't call him Pol Pot, they called Angka. Angka refers to him, to Pol Pot. Kill those who betrayed him, and it's all bloody and fast beat song. They use particularly to brainwash people, all people, especially children like myself. I was about 11 when the Khmer Rouge took over Cambodia in 1975, and I was forced. I was separated from my family, and I was forced to live in that camp, where they converted a temple, a Buddhist temple, into a killing camp. We were supposed to work there. The children were about 700 of us were forced to live there and to die there. And in the middle of, you know, the Khmer Rouge would kill people at that temple 3 or 4 times a day, and we were forced to live there and work and die there. We were not prisoners, but we were forced to also to watch the killing. And many times I personally was forced to do things that I wouldn't normally wanted to do in my life. Besides, I was also forced to be in a music group in the middle of this hell. They brought an old man, first old man, I didn't even know his name, white-haired, around 70-something years old, and then to teach us about a few weeks, 4 or 5 of us, to play music. And there were a group of dancers. We were giving more food than other people, and you know, during the time, those children, half of them, if they didn't die by the Khmer Rouge killing, we would, half of us were starved to death. So only a few years in that temple, we only probably 70 of us left, and I was one of the lucky ones. And I think because I was playing music for them, and the skill. I mean, they killed the old man after a week, 2 weeks. He taught us, and they killed 2 or 3 boys because they were too slow to learn the instruments. And I was really lucky that I have the skill, and I was faster than those children. They brought another old man, Master Mac. This time I was able to really become close to Master Mac. He became like my father, and we helped each other to survive. He lied to the Khmer Rouge. I lied to the Khmer Rouge that we need each other's more time to really learn this. When the master taught us to play, and if we got the skill, we get better playing for the Khmer Rouge, they would kill the master. I know that, and the master knew that. So we lied to the Khmer Rouge, and lying is also a cause of death. If they found out that we lied, we wouldn't survive, both of us. But during the after after the 4 years of the camp, the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia. Some people think that they came and liberated Cambodia from the Khmer Rouge. Even before the Khmer Rouge, Cambodia, many Cambodians died, especially artists died in the countryside because of the B-52, that were dropped in Cambodia by Americans, by us, by American. I'm American too, Cambodian Americans. So I don't know what to say. Sometimes I say, us dropping bombs in Cambodia. So many in our country, the art, the traditional music were passed on, by one to one, it's an oral teaching. If the master died, the whole culture died, and what's left for us to learn about ourselves. I was forced by the Khmer Rouge, 1979, to they gave us guns, they took my instruments away, and I was a child soldier for about a year, and then I escaped into the jungle by myself, following monkey for food. We walked probably a few hundred miles from where I lived to the border of Thailand, where I was forced also to live along the border. I was lucky at all to survive in the jungle and to survive the war, and never learned how to shoot a gun. The Khmer Rouge just placed guns and trucked us out and fought against the Vietnamese that had more experience and more skill than we do. And then I met in the camp. It was my last leg. I weigh about 30 pounds. I was probably 14 years old now, and I met a white man, they call him Americans, with this sport car coming to the camp. And he's literally stepped on me when I was in the camp. Many children were drowning in the camp and starving to death. And they ended up putting us in the refrigerator. They had a house that, because they couldn't bury most of the dead on time. So Peter stepped on me literally, and he was like 400 pounds. He's a football player also. And they call him American. And I don't know, I caught his attention, and he stepped on me literally. He picked me up from the ground, and everything was history after that. I was helped by him. In 1980, I arrived in New Hampshire, which is close to where you live now. And the next day, he took me to a shopping mall, shopping for clothing. And the next day, he took me to the high school, White Mountain Regional High School, where it was a total different world for me. In the camp, they told me that you are lucky to go to America. There's a lot of money there. Everything you wish for, it will fall from the sky for you. So I ended up giving all my clothing. I have only flip-flop and my shorts and coming to America. And I had a feeling that when I was put in the hallway, I remember when the bell rung, and all white kids coming out from classes, like noise coming out like a bees. And already they were stunned by seeing me on the hallway. I was stunned by seeing them. I mean, like so many of them, like I felt outnumbered by this all white kid. There were no black, there were no Hispanic, there were no Asian, there were no people who looked like me. So some of them like run past me and they hit me in the head already. Like they were noisy. So I felt troubled already, and I knew that I had to find a way to live there and to survive there. And again, I was instructed to go to classes, and eventually I had a lot of fight with those kids, and they called me monkey, and I didn't know the word, but I went to a dictionary and trying to find the words. So, and they said, go back where you belong to. I was confused, and really, I was in a really deep depression, and I couldn't speak the language. That was why I resorted to fight. That's all I knew. And if I had a gun, that would be very dangerous because I knew nothing else but to shoot. If they make fun of me and laugh at me and hit me in the head like that, in Cambodia, no way they survive. I'll shoot them. That's all I knew how. And I was really in a deep depression. And my dad knew that. He felt that. Peter knew that. So he asked me to really talk to them about what I went through in Cambodia. And when I began again, eventually starting to play music again to them, it helped me a lot. I controlled myself very much. And Peter told me that, you have to share this story with them. Otherwise, you will not survive here. You survived the jungle of Cambodia, but you will not survive the jungle of New Hampshire. That's what he assured me. And I took it, but eventually I started liking it because they were right. Peter was right, and Peter was right. I thought that the American kid wouldn't want to listen to me and to my story and to what I've gone through in my life in Cambodia. They don't care. They probably wouldn't care because all they care about ice cream and go to the mall and kissing and all of this. But I was wrong. When I shared the first time, second time, and the third time, many of them really taken it to their heart, and I began to raise not only awareness about my life, and I felt better about living among them, and they accepted me also. But also I started raising money, and I knew that someday I would come back to Cambodia to face my past. And I came back in the 90s while I was in first year, second year in college, where I went to Brown. Jimmy Carter wrote me a recommendation to go to Brown University. I just talked to Dennis about Jimmy Carter. He had something to do with Habitat for Humanity, but also he had a lot in the past. He was also helped much with a big organization we know called Amnesty International, where I was also began to get involved in different kind of activity in America, made me much better a person, and I was able to hear about other people's story and suffering all around the world, not only Cambodians. I felt much better by the request of Jimmy Carter for me to be a key speaker for Amnesty International. He liked it so much that everyone liked it, that I was involved and sharing my story. I probably was the first Cambodian who came out and sharing my story like this in English, even though I couldn't speak English really well, like what I'm even doing now. I'm not that well because I was so emotional in sharing my my story. But I ended up being a key speaker for Amnesty International for 15 years. And so he said, Arn, would you go to college? I said, yes. So he wrote me a recommendation. He said, this could help you to go to Brown University, where I attended. And now my daughter, Amy Carter, is there now. So please help watch her out for me. So that's another, that's why I ended up at Brown, where 1 or 2 years, I ended up helping to start Big Brother, Big Sister in the other side of town where many Cambodians have settled, Providence College, in Providence. Then I transferred to Providence College. Then in the 90s, I came back to Cambodia. For the first time when I went to Battambang, where I used to live, and the camp where I was forced to live there for 23 years. I couldn't find anyone alive then, but then later on, I found few members of my far relatives alive. All my close, immediate relatives were killed or starved to death, including my little brother and little sister. And the reason they were targeted by the Khmer Rouge, now I found out that they were artists. Most of my family owned an opera company. They were artists, they were singers, they were actors, and my dad and my mom, that was their cause of death. And then I found out that 90% of all the artists died during the time. So I felt like, wow, you know what really happened to us during the Khmer Rouge. And there I was on the street. I found Master Meg after 23 years. We were in supper, you know, my second master. I never thought he would survive at all. He looked at me, and 23 years, suddenly I saw him smiling, and he still recognizes me, and he called my name. And he came, he hugged, I saw him smiling, but tears running down in his cheek. And he said, "Where have you been?" I said, "America." I don't think he knows where America is, but I said, I was rescued. And then he said, "Arn, I do not want to." He was cutting hair on the street for the ex-Khmer Rouge. And that's most of the masters of musicians. I don't know why they, you know, there is a common theme that most of the masters were, their second job is to know how to cut hair. But then after I met Master Meg, I began to start to think about, he said, "Arn, I don't want to die a drunk. I can smell alcohol from his mouth." So it saddened me so much that I know that he's now becoming an alcoholic. And then I found more master on the street of Phnom Penh a few years later, and that's how I started Cambodian Living Art, matching master to students. And our first step is to restore and revive, and also to transmit the art form that they know how, and like my family know how, to these young people. It's just immediate fix, you know. We start from the scratch. So I'm happy, and my dream was to have young people now in my country find out about their past, their glorious past, and then, you know, and then my dream was to have, you know, many children in Cambodia play music instead of carrying guns like I did, and to have music in their life before they die, and to have the whole generations of artists start helping each other through music. And the power of music, we can have a discussion later on after I play another piece of music for you. This one would be much soothing traditional music that you will like. But this dream of mine for the next generation, I want to transfer this. I want to introduce you to Sakan, who she's part of my big dream also of having a new family for myself. She's one of my outstanding, new generation of, she's an artist leader, speaking English better than me, and organized much better than anybody can do around the world. You know, she's learned from doing, and we have many of Sakan now around Cambodia. And I would like to have Sakan tell you and about what we do now with Cambodian Living Arts after 15 years of this work. So Sakan, please share with us and share with our friends in America about the work that we do. Please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sakan, and I'm managing arts development program. Thanks so much, Puan, for sharing a very touching story, and thanks to Suffolk University for having me to join Puan, and also having CLA as an overall. But I think before I begin with my touring of what CLA is doing, maybe I will ask my college to have played the video of our work first, and then we will go directly to the presentation. Please, Pekadai.
Thank you.
Cambodian Living Arts is an organisation that has always known arts and cultural expression are vital to the future of Cambodia. We believe that the arts are at the heart of vibrant and peaceful societies. We started our work in 1998 when our founder, Arn Chorn-Pond, returned to Cambodia after being a refugee in America. Arn saw that the arts, which had saved his life during the years of the Khmer Rouge, were in danger of dying out, and found Cambodia's remaining master artists living in poverty. For our first decade, we worked to protect and revive traditional performing arts. Music, dance, theatre, puppetry, all of these and more were at risk of being forgotten. We supported master artists and set up classes where they could pass on their skills and their knowledge to young students in their communities all over the country. As the situation of Cambodia changed and the arts continued to grow from strength to strength, our work developed too. As well as supporting the master artists, we needed to work with the next generation. Students were growing up and need to be able to make a living in the arts. We began to offer scholarships, and we created performances and festivals from which artists could earn enough income to continue their involvement in the arts. Artists are the ones who will make culture and arts flourish and have meaning for Cambodian society. Our role is evolving once again. We work to provide opportunities, experiences, and inspiration to those artists. This means they can travel, create new work, and start their own projects. We want to inspire young people to keep connected to Cambodia's cultural heritage and to express themselves through the arts. We will continue working to grow audiences for performing arts. We want to build links between arts communities, both within Cambodia and with our neighbours around Asia.
My secret wish was that for every child in Cambodia to carry musical instruments, dance, sing, happy together, not to carry guns like I did. And I wish that for the world too. Can we do that? I think we can. We started here already from small and now pretty big. We can do it. Each country in post-conflict nation can use this as an example. We would love to share this, what works with the art and with the culture, with the post-conflict nation or not post-conflict nation around the world. It's happening. So join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pekadai, and everyone for paying attention to the video. So next, I would like to ask my colleague Pekadai again to have play with the slide presentation, as it has a problem with technical, so Pekadai will assist me on that. Next slide, please, Pekadai. The next slide, please. Okay. I think some of you might have known this already before I tour you guys through the whole journey of what CLA is doing. I think it's also good to look at the context of Cambodia, which set the foundation for the art scene here, as well as why CLA started our work at the beginning in 1998. So actually, Cambodian is quite well known for the Angkor Wat, or the notorious Khmer Rouge regime, rather than its rich and diverse intangible cultural heritage. If we look at how those artistic intangible cultural heritage is archiving, it is recorded as a carving on the stone or exists in the memories of people, which the latter, I mean the existing in the memory of people, really reflect the fragility of the oral tradition. From 1975 to 1979, when the Khmer Rouge came into power, destroyed the country, infrastructure, tradition, and its people, and as Anne has mentioned earlier, estimated around 90%, I mean 90, of Cambodian artists have been killed. And then in 1993, and with the international assistance, I mean UN at the time in 1993, with that international assistance as a peace recovering process, as well as to end the civil war within the country, Cambodian started to have its first national elections in 1993 as a way to end the civil war. And this is how we restart on our work to build this country. So if you look at really at the picture, the Independence Monument, that fancy building, that hotel, it also can reflect that what the present or the reality now is actually totally different to what it was like many years ago. It took 4 years to destroy the country, but it needed a lot of efforts to rebuild the country, its humanity, and especially its intangible cultural heritage, which is in danger of getting disappear. So this is the overall context and how how the art scene here is started, as well as how CLA is started in 1998. Next slide, please, Pekadei. I think Puan has mentioned quite a lot about this already. So with the original goal of our first decade is to revive the Cambodian traditional performing arts. So CLA has started in 1998, and actually the story really begins when Puan came back to Cambodia around 1996, I believe so, because I have possible, yeah. And to look for his surviving family who run an opera company in Battambang province, but sadly, he realized that none of his family survived. And he happened to meet one of his music teacher who taught him during the Khmer Rouge, the propaganda song, at the time after more than 20 years of being apart. So at the time, Master Mate that Puan has met, he was running a barber shop, but he told Anne that with the remaining time of his life, he want to do something that is meaningful. And then Puan at the time realized that what he meant is to restart teaching his music. And then also Anne started to realize that he must do something in order to heal his pain from inside, and as well as to restore the Cambodian arts and culture, seeing the damages that is destroyed by the Khmer Rouge regime at the time. So once again, Puan and his friend kept coming back and forth to Cambodia with his little money that he has fundraised with his friend in the United States. And at the time, most of the masters live in slum area and wandering in poverty. And so, that is how Arn started opening Cambodian traditional performing art classes. The context that the classes is opening at the time is like one village, one class, either in the open space or inside the master house. And sometimes the master just just gather his relative, her grandson or great granddaughter for all to join the art class, or sometimes they are calling for the nearby community. So it's important and also effective to note that at the time, seems like word of mouth marketing, I mean a relationship and networking at the time is quite an effective marketing for the master to gather all the people within the community to join the classes. And yep, and so this is how CLA, at the end of the day, we ended up with 16 master and 15 assistant teacher who were formerly the first generation for student of the master. And we opened more than 10 to 13 traditional performing art classes across the provinces with 300 students as the first generation of students. This is just the very, very initial record. And one thing I also to emphasize is that I think next slide you will see how CLA work has evolved, or actually you have some sense already from the previous video. Despite the evolution of CLA works, the master artist are still at the core of CLA work, meaning that CLA will take care of them for the rest of their life, from pension, medical care, contingency fund, and so on. And we have started with 16 master, and currently there are only 8 remain within CLA's program because of some are aging, some are getting older and older now. Next slide, please, Pekadai. Because of the first decade of our work is really, really dedicated to reviving Cambodian traditional performing arts and to cope with changes. So CLA has extended our works as the context of Cambodian has changed, and the artists the new generation of artists began to emerge. For example, the student or the artist who we have invested on the first decade. So CLA started to provide scholarship, fellowships program, and also professional development while creating job opportunity for them. And as part of supporting the transformative environment, CLA also involved and engaged in cultural policy advocacy. And also, we also support the development of the culture and art education in the public school as well, while expanding and building Cambodian audiences. And for your information, throughout my presentation, I use the term Cambodian intangible cultural heritage instead of Khmer ethnic city, because we want to reflect Cambodian as a whole, that the arts and culture belong to everyone, not just Khmer ethnic city. Khmer is the majority in Cambodia, like for example, me, which is make up around 90% of the Cambodian population. And with the very recent work of our work from 2017, one of our aim is to give the artists the resources to start telling the story of contemporary Cambodia. Next slide, please, Pekadai. I think once again, from the beginning until now, it's about the context that has evolved, and this is the context of performing art that led CLA to what we are doing now. If we look into the performing art sector or the art ecosystem in Cambodia, there is a lack of public funding, few professional performing venue, few contemporary performing arts company, and also sometimes sensitive political context. I think you got what I mean already, political censorship. And also because the lack of the inconsistent access of the art education at early age, most of the audience, especially the young one, tend to come to the mindset that the art is free. And it's really, really challenging to get them to pay for the ticket of professional show. So another of our job is to, to work on building a paying audience. Despite this challenging context, we can see that there are still a lot of talents within the country of Cambodia. And as part of our development program, actually the program that I'm managing, we provide some support, like we provide like small grant, including small project grant or mobility grant. We provide funding for new commissions or residency. We create opportunity, we create open call for new work, workshop on directing or writing. And what the one that is really important is also because the artists create a lot of work already. So we also provide a platform to present for the artists to present their creativity and also talent. And one of the platform, as an example, is the cultural season, which I will guide you a little bit deeper into the next slide. Please, next slide. What is cultural season? Cultural season is a 2 months programming lasting from 2 to 3 months, and the season is curated around the theme of identity with an annual sub-theme of exploring, expressing, and creating or recreating identity. There must be a question why CLA we start to look into this kind of theme. I mean, the theme of identity. Once again, if we look into the context, I mean, the Cambodian context, Cambodian has developed a lot recently, including immigrations, globalization, and also at the same time, there is an emerging expression of contemporary art and a creative expression of the LGBT community. So there's like a lot of question around this kind of issue. Like, for example, some people might view this kind of emerging expression as the threat to the pure Cambodian identity, and other might ask like if the definition of Cambodian identity should remain the same or it should be extended. Thus, we have to divide it within Cambodia, or we all can stay together in unity. Because once again, as I have mentioned previously, Khmer ethnicity make up around 90% of Cambodian population, while the other, like the other 10%, including Cham, Vietnamese, or indigenous community. So how could we live together? So this question is not to be answered by CLA, but CLA provide a platform for the artists themselves to find the answer to those kind of questions. So the question is answered in terms of contemporary dance, theaters, or music. And if we look at the way that we frame the cultural season is formatted into 2 parts. One, performing arts program, which doesn't aim not just to only to present the talents and the meaningful work of the artist, but we also have another part which is called contextual program, where we have interactive program like talk, conference, or workshop by and from arts and cultural practitioner and the audience, especially the young one. Next slide, please, Day. And this is just a wrap up of the cultural season that we have just recently done last year in 2020 during the pandemic time. And actually we are quite happy that CLA is able to serve like some artists to be able to continue work safe from home, because we have changing some approach of our program, like for instance from physical workshop but to an open call where the artists can stay at their own place and create and continue their own work. So this is just a data that I think if you have a question, you can get to ask me for the next one. Next slide, please, Pekadari. Despite the fact that CLA has evolved our work to creativity and expression, But actually, we are still supporting the continuity of Cambodian artistic heritage as one of our ongoing aim. And also, we done this as a way also to pay respect to, and also to keep the spirit of where CLA have starting from. So we provide some funding to an all-female percussionist. These are just some examples to create the new traditional music. We also provide also some support as well to research project to archive and research on the rare and endangered art form. For instance, the first one with the old master, it's about the Angkuch project, the mouth harps, and the second one is about it's a project by the Khmer Magic Music Bus, which is Arn is one of the co-founder with the mission to research a rare music art form in the province, and that musical instrument is called can. It's a mouth organ instrument. Next slide, please, Pekday. I think that's all for what I would like to share, but I welcome for questions, and I prefer the opportunity for us to talk more and question actually. But before we are moving to the Q&A part, I think Arn have one last special gift for all of us before we are starting the conversation.
Should I thank you, Khan. Should I play another song now or after question? I probably play the flute to close, or is that a good idea to play the flute last?
I think if you would like to change the agenda, I think I'm fine with that. Either way, it's fine actually.
How about you all? I play last and we say goodbye after I play. Yeah. Now open the conversation. People seem to not their head, so that's good. So open to the questions. Thank you for your attention, and thank you, Khan, for incredible work you're doing. I saw the on-screen English writing. Who's writing the screen on-screen writing? Your school? The school?
Zoom will do that. It just automatically picks up what we're talking about.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I saw some funny writing there, because I don't think it listen to Khan well, so you can correct after you go back to correct.
Yeah,
sometimes
it's not accurate.
Sometimes when I say ask in Cambodia, they don't pronounce the K, so they say ask instead of ask. So yeah, so you go back there and correct.
I think someone raised up the hand. Yeah.
So any questions, you guys? Are we good on time?
Oh, CJ, go ahead.
Cool. Thank you both for coming here and everyone in attendance. Good to see you all. I just have a little bit more of a fun question. Other than the flute, would there be an instrument you have or would had picked to play instead, something you adore instead?
Yes, many other instruments, that I love. Like, for example, like the xylophone, a Cambodian xylophone that made of bamboo, and it's just beautiful sound. There's many rare Cambodian instruments that I've never seen in my life. Now have just rediscovered with the Khmer Magic Music Bus, where we have the physical bus and we would bring some masters and young masters to play traditional music for free in a remote area in the mountain, for those who never seen, like I was, never seen hear live music in their lives or touch any instruments. So we found like can. She was talking about the can also being made by bamboos. At play, you suck and you suck the instruments, and it makes sound almost like a harmonica. you know, but it was made by bamboo, sound just like that. And many other instruments, you know, like the harp, the Cambodian mouth harps. So those kind of things that now it's a little late now for me. I'm really an old man now. I can't play many other instruments. I need to fundraise. I need to spend my time fundraising instead of sacrificing my desire. Yeah. Any other questions, you guys?
I have a comment, not a question. I had the opportunity to go to Cambodia a couple of years ago as part of the programs that Adam, Dennis, and Courtney and Yvette's office puts together. And you know, one of the things I had just missed your talk when you had came to Suffolk, but they were talking to me about it, and they said, "Oh, there's this book, Never Fall Down. You need to read it." I was like, "Okay." So I bought the book, and I have to say that it was extremely powerful, and it prepared me for the experience that we had in Cambodia. And in fact, we gave the book to all the students who went on the trip, and then on the way back, we all wrote personal notes and messages to one another. And it was very, very powerful experience. And I appreciate the work that you all are doing, Sakan and Arn. And you know, thank you for sharing parts of yourself with the Suffolk University community. It's definitely a memorable one that I'll never forget. I have things from Cambodia all over my house. Just so that you know. Yeah, so it was a special moment. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you so much, Sean. And it's our like honor to be that you all allow us to share our work on this platform too. It's such a meaningful experience too, and especially for me, for the first time to join with Arn and sharing our work. Yeah.
First time. That's good, Sakan. You're doing very well. Very well. Yes, Adam.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. You know, one of the things that we're struggling with in the United States right now is a question of the identity of our culture. And there's a lot of tension between who belongs and who doesn't belong. And I was really intrigued by the work as you were talking about it, Sakorn, about the cultural season and about how you're really trying to be inclusive. I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit more about how is that going? Is there resistance to the work that you're doing from other people? Do people generally, are they supportive of it? And yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more. And if you have any tips for how we might be able to adopt some of the practices that you're doing here in the United States to try to solve some of our cultural issues we're having here too.
Actually, I might not really have a tip because actually I'm also doing the job, but at the same time learning as well. So, and of course, there is resistance, not mentioning about the issue of identity yet. Like for me personally, because I'm a post-conflict generation, but I'm dealing with two generations of artists. One, those who are framed under the narratives of Khmer Rouge, and another one, the post-conflict generation, which is 1/3 of Cambodian, 2/3 of Cambodian population right now, which is the young people of Cambodia, who are creating work not really relevant to the Khmer Rouge story, but they really find the transformative role of the arts as a way for social change. So one in or not, there is a tension in between, like what you mentioned, Adam, like this is Khmer, this is not Khmer, this is Cambodian, this is not Cambodian. So one way that I'm dealing with this work, I try to find someone, I would say like an artistic mediator, someone who is senior and high in status to coordinate, because that kind of person is very like very well in terms of knowledge on how to, what type of diplomatic language to talk to these two kind of generation. So this is one of the reasons why we provide cultural season as a platform for I think I forget to mention two of the values that we want to reflect of cultural season. One is one cultural season is a platform of celebration of diversity. So this is how we bring into different types of work, generations, and expression, what I would say. And another one, what we want to reflect is that, as you have seen already, from the Khmer Rouge regime until now, the generation have shifted a lot. The development context, immigration, globalization. And thus, I think I forget what I want. Oh yeah, what we want to reflect also is that culture keep evolving and not static. So our program is really designed to fit into that value that we would like to reflect. And another one is about the working, not really the working style, but like you mentioned, the issue of identity, superiority, inferiority. One of the example in part of our commissioning or open for new work, there are two processes that we are doing. One is the open call for general one, those who find themselves easily access, for example, to application filling. But another one, we did it through nomination process, especially to those who are marginalized or underprivileged but deserve this artistic merit. So there are two ways that we approach people of different race or ethnicity, because totally to do this work, we have to understand the context. Like, for example, one of the indigenous community that CLA or we have commissioned, they are a Khoi ethnicity who is living in Stung Treng province. For instance, they don't know how to read Khmer language because they are from indigenous people. So for sure, they totally couldn't write the application. They don't have access to internet. So this is why you should not rely on open call as just one way to reach out those people. So one of the tips that I would suggest is that to get the understanding of people of these differences, I would say, or diverse, provide a platform where everyone can come together, celebrate, talk, discuss, and share instead of judging, because this is what we have to avoid the most. And second thing, it's important to be mindful and be sensitive of the background of people that we are approaching with, to bring them to create the work. Because what we have to be mindful as well is that when we bring the arts and culture of one groups of people, like for instance, the example of those indigenous people on the stage, we try to maintain its authenticity as much as we can, because one thing we already did is that we already somehow more or less already decontextualize those people already. So we try to maintain the artistic integrity as much as we can. So yeah, so nominations, open call, and artistic mediator, those who can advise.
You know, I think big thing for me is, I think if we all can agree, even the worst man or the worst president or the worst king of, if we can come agree together that the power of music is transforming us. The power of music is no judgment. The power of music is universal. And put money on it, put money to support it. I think even, for example, like today, yesterday we had a traditional Khmer dance in Lowell, you know, with the demonstrations against, you know, now they're anti-Asian now. You know, they were shooting, they were, you know, like you say, so many people came out to Lowell. I see it virtually, I saw it. And one of my friends who were like former gang members that I helped 15 years ago from the street, now performing for people. They loved him because he rapped. Okay, rap is universal. Rap started in America, right? From whoever, you know, from some of my kids in the 80s that were put in jail. And then they you know, wear you know, baggy pants and wrote rap, so people can really communicate through that. But even traditional music, traditional Khmer music will perform at the open space. Everybody can, the white, the black, the Hispanic now in Lowell can appreciate that. They don't judge, oh, this is a bad art, this is a bad dance. Just provide money to build a platform in our community, to have the art of different art form, different dance, different music to come together. People can appreciate that. Even the first man, the versus man that wanted to kill, when they hear the traditional song, they see the dance, people clap. It will help their heart, to soften their heart. So both. I mean, I'm not anti rap, or I'm not anti any like music right now, modern music, like mostly like K-pop, like it's mostly selling, selling products. I'm sad to say, but most of the traditional music in the past, in anywhere in the world, teaches us about environment, to be good to our parents, to say thank you to creators of all things, whatever God we believe, and just to appreciate and be grateful and not take things for granted. So that's what I love, things from the past. But merely now they're getting young people, like for example K-pop or even rap. Very few artists can be free from just selling crap, selling jeans, very shallow, not deep enough, or not trying to have people listen to it and watch it and reach higher, a higher being. We cannot. So the art is the only form, in my opinion, if we put money where our mouth is, not to put money in the bomb, making the bomb, and where are we going with that? So just for them to argue, argument, with each other, one is to create fear and make people feel scared from other countries. You say, I have more bomb than you are. So, waste of time and waste of money and I'm sick of people arguing, wanting to be right all the time. But music and art is really transform and heals me personally. But if we all can agree that art is a medium, it's a platform, and it's a truth medium. So even the Khmer Rouge, knows the power of art. They are using to brainwash us. If they don't kill the artist, if they don't control the art, the people will not go to them. The plan that they plan to kill will not go to them at all. That's the ultimate. That's why they kill the artist. They targeted the artist. They know the artist has this ultimate power through getting people together. Even the Khmer Rouge know that. And I know many politicians in America, in different places in America too, in our country too, knows the power of it. That's why they don't give money. They don't give the money to art, to education, because it gets you higher, it gets human. When we are educated, don't get me into this. I'm getting so emotional about this because I'm one of the victims of their games. I carried guns so they can make money out of my life. That's the ultimate. And there are many children around the world still being victims of this. Prostitution, the same, people making money out of this. Why can't we give music? Why can't we allow people to perform, to express the deep feeling as human beings, to reach a higher goal, a higher where whatever God you believe want us to love each other. We have not crossed that. I think music, art can help us cross that. That's why they don't give money to that. I'm not sure what their plan is. So make it fundraise, man, fundraise to give money to the art, to the art. And today you decide to come for this conversation. I think it's very important for all of us. But in YouTube, share this kind of conversation, not many people watch, So where are we going, man, in the world? Not only Suffolk or Cambodia, but We should ask that question. Very dangerous situation we are at now. And I know we know that. Music, art is the way to go. Anyone? One more question. How do we do about time? Today, are we okay with time, or we still have?
We still have time. If you, I know you wanted to end.
Oh, play the. Oh, yeah. Yes, thank you. So I want to tell you that also I through Amnesty International, I realized that this particular song in different countries, we call it Bombay, which is one of my favorite lullaby, and we have there is a lullabies in every country. I found out when I play this for in Galilee, in Mount Galilee, for the Palestinian people. Wow, they said just exactly sound like our lullaby or something. They picked me up and they were so happy that I can play that. I said, this is my lullaby in Cambodia. But music story and sharing story, it's for us to be close to each other, to connect us in a higher level, in a deeper level. So, and I hope it helped you during this time too, by hearing music. And so I do this for you and we close. Thank you again for having us this year. Thank you. We hope to see you in Cambodia in the future when things are behind us.
We hope to see you. We hope to see you again very soon.
I miss my country. I miss America. I go there every year to do fundraising. That's why I give up all the instruments I want to learn here, because I raise money to help my country and to help others, also other country as well. I'm not involved in only, I'm beyond Cambodia, I'm not only helping Cambodia, but I hope Cambodian Living Art could be a workable package, like I said, in post-conflict nations. And it's working, it's happening right now. So I'm glad that I'm still in touch with my country, America. I wanted to be happier to know that most of our funding is from America, helping Cambodian Living Arts. So if we cannot fundraise in America, where else in the world that we can do this? So we We are literally like what people told me from the camp, that America had everything, and if you have them care, you will, whatever you dream, your dream is, it will be reality. Probably only happen in America. I still believe that. I still hold that strong. So raise money, brother, and promote the art. The art is this is a weapon, very powerful weapons for us to lead where the future goes. Not the mall, not the bombs. I guarantee you. So thank you guys for all the attention. Thank you. We sign up now. Good night. Good night, Dennis. Thank you again.
Good night. Thank you, Arn. Thank you, Sokon.
Thank you, Deka, for helping the this.
Thank you, Bakte.
Thank you. Well, maybe just a quick note. Adam, if you are interested in the question that you are just asking, because actually cultural season, we have a component research as part of that, because we receive a research grant from Changing the Story, which research into factor that influence the creative process and what influence the young people of Cambodia now in creating the work. We can share. I can share it to you afterwards. Please, and also the same to CJ. We have worked in terms of rare instrument that you have asked on. Actually, for the mouse harp, we've been working with the British Museum on archiving and researching on that, and it's currently on our website as well. It's stored on the British Museum database. So just in case you need an access or information about your study or research, please feel free to reach out to us. The same to Ken, we have all of that, all of those information stored. And please stay connected. Just in case you need other info, please feel free to contact us. Yep.
We will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too. Nice day.